Good afternoon. Hello there. Welcome. Welcome to the webinar we got retention, all based on our former task force on retention, and now continued as a special interest group on retention. We would like to use this week for some contributions by several of our experts from the special interest group to demonstrate what we have explored and captured within our publication on retention, and also some of the most recent good practices also by our institutions. And I will start sharing my screen to maybe best to do like this. Okay, I guess it's fully.
Yeah, we can see it now. Perfect.
Okay, so yeah, this is one of our what we call Empower webinars, specifically looking at the topic this week on retention and student services. And for the program, checking. Yeah, there it is. For today, we have several contributions. I will give a short introduction, and then we will continue with Jill from the Open University and André from Fernuni in Hagen. And tomorrow we will continue tomorrow afternoon with Aras from Anadolu University and Desmar from Code from the University of London, all very much involved in this task force on retention, for which I'll give a bit more information now. Our task forces at EDTU, the European Association of Distance Teaching Universities, is that we capture the main challenges and new developments within our universities. And in 23, there was a strong demand to look closer into retention and engagement of students, specifically in open and distance learning. And therefore, we have set up this task force in 23 with a goal to explore current challenges, opportunities, and approaches by the members. And this is always towards a report and on recommendations and guidelines for strategies in this respect. We do then a call amongst the members of EDTU, and we had responses from experts from the Open University UK, UNED in Spain, Anadolu University in Turkey, and you can see the list, all very, very eager to contribute with their expertise, but also good practices that they represent on the topic of retention. What the main focus was of this task force was actually to come to practical approaches. So we map, first of all, the challenges, after, of course, first getting a good definition of what dropouts are and what retention, what we mean by that, mapping the challenges, and then the different approaches that are used by the various open distance teaching universities. And from there, we also share studies and research. We compare all these approaches and good practices, and then identify where are the strengths and obstacles that we share, and find solutions to be reported on. So this report is now, I guess, a bit more half a year, maybe a year already online. I will give a link to that report later. The key challenges specifically for open distance learning were, first of all, the definition of dropout and success, the terminology actually, because what for a university means dropout can already be a success for a student, meaning that the student did not have the ambition to take a full degree, only a short online program, for example, and fulfilling that ambition successfully from the student's point of view, but stopping their studies then earlier than a full degree is, in the definition of a university, a dropout. So there is a tension between what we consider dropout and success, and actually we should rather look at the student-centered goals, of course, about what is the ambition actually from the start, the initial ambition of the student. Then from research, we also learn that the topic of retention is quite complex, and there are many elements and aspects that influence dropout and retention. And it is therefore also not possible to have a single solution, and we need to map different solutions for different challenges. And further, there is a unique dilemma for open distance learning. When I refer to that, the one part that makes open distance learning so accessible is the flexibility, but at the same time, that flexibility also is often the reason why students drop out. More mapped here, different elements of open distance education that is influencing retention here is that not all students can live up to the level of education, because within open education there are less preconditions for a student entering academic education, and maybe they're not all up to the level of education. But also you have to handle the flexibility, but also have the skills to have to work within, to study within online education, but also accept that you're not every day of your study, every time, part of a group of studying. You are quite alone at a distance, unless this is really addressed by the university, by different approaches and tools to engage the student more. So there's several elements listed here that influence also the retention of open distance education. What is more specific for the students also is that we are talking often about continuing education, meaning that the student often has to balance work, life, and study. There could also be at that stage in life financial challenges, more difficult to make a choice, of course. So these in blue are much more the real personal decisions, the personal circumstances of a student. But in green, you also see other challenges that can be addressed by the university also. So the lack of motivation is a personal situation, but it can be influenced by the university by keeping them engaged and motivated. Offering them more interaction, making them part of the group work, help them cope with the workload, and make sure that they are well prepared and get the study skills. It is already very important from the start when a student chooses open and distance learning to make them really aware of the of what that entails. So we have to be very clear about managing expectations already in the marketing materials. By attracting students, really have to be sure that when they really sign up for the commitment, that they are aware of what it entails to be in open and distance learning. So being realistic about how flexible studying at an open university is. How much time is needed and how long it will take to qualify, providing also some tasters, some examples of assessment, and yeah, making a really conscious choice for the student possible for starting the study. Interesting, I think this was presented by Whithouse in one of our task force sessions also, I believe. I think these are the 4 preconditions for engagement. I think it just takes the slide also. I think it's very interesting. Is that from the student's part, you need to have an emotional engagement. You need to have a positive motivation to start. Next to that, you need to have also your direct environment to support you, like family and the flexibility of the family, but also to have the environment to study well and in peace. And then in the group, the group of students amongst you must have really that you are appreciated, part of the group, secure, a safe space in this group. That's important as a precondition of engagement. And then fourthly, also cognitive engagement, in which there is the academic way of thinking and getting feedback, of self-criticism and so on, that there is room for that to have a fully academic process possible as well. So these are the 4 preconditions of engagement. I think always need to keep in mind that a student need to have these in place. What we captured within our report, so on the left you see the cover of the report, is that we have been thinking with the task force how to best approach the report and what stages, what aspects, and then we have decided to take all the lifetime of student stages. One is the awareness aspiration, and then the pre-entry guidance. This is all before signing up. Like I said, being very clear on the expectations and what a student needs to bring to successfully finish the studies and be motivated. And then from admission to transition and the full progress towards a qualification, all these elements, all these stages in the life cycle of a student are also bringing the risks of dropping out. So we handled in the report all the elements on what needs to be communicated, how to interact with a student, how to intervene if needed, and how to measure that, how to evaluate when that is needed. So that's all part of this report, and some of the presenters will address these stages also today and tomorrow. You will find the full report here by scanning this, or you take the Zenodo link directly to the report. So that was the result of our work of the task force. I'm just going to stop the sharing here somewhere. Oh yeah, it's on my other screen. And I have to think now, who is the first to speak? I believe it's Jill, isn't it? Yeah. So this was just as an introduction, and we continue now with Jill from the Open University UK.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you to George and Stefan for inviting me to talk to you today. George has just talked very much about retention and highlighted the importance of preparation and student expectations. I'm going to take you to the other end of the student journey, and I'm going to talk about recognising their success, whether that be in completion or possible earlier withdrawals. So forgive me, I'm not too used to using Zoom, but I'm hoping I'll be able to share some slides.
Should be the green button in the middle of the screen. Yeah.
I'm hoping
You get many options then. Yeah.
Has that come up? Okay,
yeah, perfect. Yeah, we can see it. Thanks.
There we are, and I've got you back. So hopefully. Right. So as George says, I'm Jill Gribble. I'm an Assistant Director in the Pro-Vice Chancellor of Students Office at the Open University in the UK. The Open University is the largest distance learning higher education provider in the UK. And as George says, we're open both in name and mission. So we promote educational opportunity and social justice by providing high quality university education to all who wish to realise their potential. Ultimately, we have no entry requirements, and we embrace all students regardless of their prior educational qualifications and experience. We've been supporting students for over 50 years, having been initially formed back in 1969 and saw our first students in 1971. Last year, for the 2023-24 academic year, we directly taught over 150,000 students, with over 50% of them not having the traditional higher education entry requirements that would be traditionally seen for a UK student. We are seeing changes to our student demographics at the moment, particularly with regards to age, because we're seeing many more younger students choosing to study in a distance learning environment. And last year, over a third of our new students were aged under 25. Thinking about qualifications and awards, last year we awarded over 17,000 qualifications, meaning I'm very proud to say that there's now over 1 million graduates from the Open University in the UK. But enough about me and the university. Today you asked me to talk about the recognition of success for all students, and I wanted to talk to you about a recent project that we've completed. Now, supporting students to succeed in their goals is at the heart of everything we and you do. We all know that distance learning students face increasing number of priorities that conflict with their study, meaning that they often need to withdraw earlier and before achieving their intended qualification. Whilst they might stop studying before they're achieving their final goal, many of them may have achieved sufficient credit for a lower qualification. For example, they may have intended to and begun to study towards a 360 credit undergraduate degree, but for various reasons they've had to stop studying. But they might have achieved 120 credits, and that would make them eligible for an undergraduate certificate. And similarly, they might have stopped after 240 credits, which would make them eligible for a diploma. Our project at the Open University UK was about ensuring that as a university, we had the institutional processes in place to recognise the success of all those students by awarding undergraduate certificates and diplomas as exit milestone qualifications to those who'd stopped studying but had sufficient credit. The Open University experience is designed to ensure students have flexibility in their study. A student can change their study intensity. So the first year they might study 60 credits. The next year they might do 120 credits and then 30. They flex their study up and down depending on their priorities. Many of our students also change the subject that they're studying towards, with many opting to study more than one subject and then graduating with the multidisciplinary open degree. Students can also pause their studies. They can return to them a couple of years later at a time that suits their point in life. And this has traditionally been useful for our older students who are balancing that study with family and work. At the moment, in order to access study loans, our UK students need to link their study to a qualification. Most undergraduate students state they wish to study for a degree because it saves them having to reapply for the loan every time they want to come and study. So we often find students state they're studying for degree when actually they might only be interested in a particular module. At our university, students register to study module by module, and they often successfully complete one or two modules. And then sometimes
cancelled their New Year's Eve.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Sounds much more exciting New Year's Eve plans. But very often our students study one or two modules very successfully with us. And then for some reason, they just don't re-register. And in the past, we've made assumptions about our students. We'll say, that's okay. They're just on a study break. They'll come back to us when they're ready. Or we might say, well, I know it says they wanted the degree, but they probably did that for the loan. They're probably only they're probably happy with their modular study. That might be all they only wanted to study with us. But these assumptions have led us to several unintended consequences, particularly for our students who may have stopped studying before achieving their ultimate goal. Students may not be aware that they're eligible for a lower qualification, and that means they may often leave us feeling disappointed because they haven't reached that ultimate goal. They might not understand or even recognise the achievements that they've made so far. They may feel like they've failed. And from our university perspective, our qualification completion rates can look quite low in the eyes of our regulator. Back in 2022, we saw the introduction of a new condition of registration for English higher education providers. This condition of registration centred around quality of courses and saw providers being judged on the proportion of students who'd completed a qualification in 7 years for part-time providers. This prompted us to take a good look at our own data. And looking at our data, we saw our completion rates for qualifications were much lower than we would have liked. We began to ask ourselves, so why so many of our students who'd been successful in modular credit were leaving us without a qualification? We discovered many of the students who had sufficient credit for an undergraduate certificate or diploma hadn't been awarded the qualification. And when we asked ourselves why, we found people would say, but it wasn't what they've put down. It wasn't their intended qualification. So they might be on a study break. They'll come back when they're ready. Or, well, they may have signed up for the loan, but they might only have really wanted that modular credit. Those assumptions that we kept making about our students kept coming back round, and we needed to do something different. So what did we do? Well, in 2022-23, we set up a collaborative project between our data teams, the Pro Vice Chancellor of Students Office, and the Qualification Awarding team. The project used the 2016-17 cohort, so those students who began their studies during the 16-17 academic year, as a pilot to understand how our systems, our approaches, and those assumptions could be challenged and changed to recognise the success of those students. The project identified students who'd stopped studying in recent years. We decided for this pilot that our definition of stop studying were those students who hadn't studied with us for 2 years. We then identified from that cohort of students who had stopped studying but had sufficient credit for a qualification. So those students who had achieved more than 120 credits. We then checked their credits they'd achieved against eligibility for an award. And then we contacted them by email and informed them of their success and offered them 3 options. They could decline the qualification. No, thank you, I'm happy, I've got my module credit. They could accept the qualification, or they could choose which qualification they wanted if they were eligible for more than one, or they could talk to an advisor about returning to study. We sent the communications out twice over a period of 6 weeks, and the email also included the option to never hear from us again to make sure that we were complying with UK GDPR laws. All of that sounds very simple, and it should be. But our systems are not necessarily designed for these approaches, and it did mean that our pilot actually involved quite a lot of manual work for our staff. But what happened as a result? Well, we identified over 2,400 students who'd stopped studying but had at least 120 credits. Of those we contacted, 25% of them said, yes, please, to the qualification. 5% gave us a phone call and said we'd love to come back and continue our studies. As a result, and from our regulators' perspective, the awarding of these additional qualifications increased our completion rates by 2 percentage points for the 16-17 cohort. But much more importantly, from our students' perspective, the feedback has been overwhelmingly positive. We've received so many emails from students stating how wonderful it's been to feel a sense of achievement and positivity about their study, particularly if they felt that they'd left before they felt they'd really succeeded. Some have shared how it's boosted their confidence and enabled them to be more successful in their current career, and some have even shared how they've moved on to new careers as a result of receiving the qualification. So what did we do next? We couldn't just stop, not with such good feedback. So we ran the process again in 2023-24 for the cohort of 2017-18. And we're currently running the same process for each cohort of students that started with us between 2018-19 and 2021-22. Now, we recognised that for the pilot, many of the students we contacted hadn't actually studied with us for 4 years. Most of them stopped studying in 2019, and that meant there was a large gap between their last experience of study and contact from us about a qualification. That meant response rates were lower than we'd hoped, as we feel many students may have chosen just not to open an email from us, or may even have changed their contact details. In the recent pilot for 23-24, we have seen a slight increase in response rates, and we're hoping as we move towards normal practice and reduce that gap in time between contact and last point of study, that we'll see much higher response rates. But alongside contacting students, we are also changing our academic regulations to enable us to automatically award to students who might not respond to the communications. Selfishly, this really supports improvements in our completion rates as they are viewed by the regulator, but we also recognise and will ensure that it's important our students have the option to refuse a qualification if they wish. We're completing this work in phases, with transition to normal practice taking place in autumn 2025. By autumn 2025, every student with sufficient credit who will be contacted offering them a qualification if they fail to re-register within 2 years. Also, if they proactively contact us and state they wish to take a break or that they want to stop studying and they have sufficient credit, we will at that point offer them the qualification. Alongside these phases, we're also reviewing our curriculum to ensure that all qualification pathways have milestone awards embedded within them. And we're also investigating the requirements for an automated system to support what is still a very manual process for our staff. So when I was doing some reflection, I felt very proud of this project because by questioning the way we've always done things and questioning our assumptions, we've been able to provide a better experience for our students. Traditionally, at the Open University in the UK, we do tend to focus on our undergraduate experience, and that's because they make up the majority of our student body. But for this project, we've made the active decision to include all undergraduate and postgraduate students. Overall, I believe that recognising the success of all our students, even those who don't achieve their intended goal, enables a good foundation for lifelong learning. The students involved in these projects now and going forward will leave the university possibly feeling a little disappointed that they haven't achieved their degree, but hopefully recognising and feeling proud of their achievements so far. Hopefully, the qualification they gain will support their career and life goals in the moment. And because they recognise their own success, we feel they'll be much more likely to return to study when they're ready. Finally, we did manage to achieve all of this at no extra cost to the university, but I must acknowledge that it could not have been achieved without the willingness and support of many staff. This draws to an end my presentation on the project. But before I close for questions, I felt I couldn't talk about recognising the success of all students without talking about recognition of prior success. And by that, I mean credit transfer. I'm really proud that the UK Open University offers credit transfer. If people in the UK have previously studied at higher education level within the last 16 years, then there are many opportunities for them to count this towards an Open University study experience. They may have completed part of a degree at another university, might have completed a certificate or diploma. They might have studied overseas, or they might have gained a relevant professional or vocational qualification. However they've achieved the credit, they can often use it towards an Open University degree. It's free for people to check if they're eligible for credit transfer, and there's no obligation for them to study with us. We provide a lot of information on our website, but in recent years, we've recognised that our processes to inform people as to whether they are eligible for credit transfer or not takes too long. People often miss the opportunity to begin studying with us at the time they would like. So we are currently planning to undertake another collaborative project, this time looking at our credit transfer processes to ensure that they are as efficient as possible and meeting our student needs. Credit transfer is particularly important for UK universities at the moment, as our government is bringing in changes to UK funding to make it easier to fund modular credit from 2026-27 onwards. On a personal note, I'm very passionate about credit transfer. In the year 2000, I withdrew from a university with a diploma in computing. This was before I really wished to withdraw because I had been aiming for the degree, but I had come to learn that computing was not my passion. I had struggled at university and upon leaving, struggled to find my place in the world. In 2009, I returned to study and I was able to count my computing credit towards an Open University degree. I went on to study 180 credits in history, which I discovered is my passion, and graduated in 2014. And it really was a turning point in my life, not just for graduate employment, but also self-belief and self-motivation. So not only do I have a personal belief, but also from this project and working at the Open University, I believe recognizing the success of students, both when they withdraw from study and when they choose to return, is so important for their motivation, their confidence, and their future success, both in and outside the university. And that's the end of the presentation part, and I'm very happy to take any questions.
Thanks so much, Jill. Really, really interesting to see how this change of mindset by the university also really recognizes also the ambitions and the follow-up on that for students to have that recognized and having the qualifications. I think it's really for some an eye opener. That's really helpful directly for the student. Any questions? Let me check also the chat. Anyone? I think it's an interesting project. Yeah. Is it also mainstream now, Jill? Is that there was a project you say? Is it mainstream? Becoming mainstream?
It is. So as part of the project itself, we're moving it into normal business practices, and we're hoping to finish those that transition ready for the autumn.
Yeah, interesting.
Good evening, everyone. Can I go ahead with the question?
Please. Who is speaking?
So this is Vinod Singh Yadav from University Grants Commission, India. So I just had a query regarding the presentation made. So can I just ask a question?
That's okay, George, isn't it? We can have a question.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So, ma'am, what I wanted to ask you is this credit transfer that you're talking about. Now, there has to be a duration which has to be specified because now it may so happen that the credits which are accumulated maybe 10, 12 years ago, they may not be that relevant. We want to redeem those credits. So, do you in United Kingdom have a time limit for the credit search?
Yes, so forgive me, I wasn't catching all of that, but I think you were asking about a time limit in the UK for credit transfer. Yes, it's 16 years is usually what we say, that the credit must have been achieved in the previous 16 years.
Any other comments? I also see this fully in line with this more these personalized learning pathways, so that more and more continuing education is not that you are not so connected to one university only. So recognition becomes more important, and also that you have your own portfolio of qualifications registered, and then fit to take also courses from other universities to have really support a personalized learning pathway. Yeah.
That's where the UK is looking like it might go with some of its funding, with the lifelong loan entitlement that the government's bringing in from 2026, 27. It's being phased in, but that's the idea that you'd be entitled to 4 years worth of traditional study loans, and that you could take these in any way that you like, so that you can study chunks of study at different universities or different providers if you wish to over the lifetime. So it is about recognizing that ability for students to move much more from university and provider, which I think makes that recognition both when withdrawing and entering the university quite important.
Yeah, it's also where we are looking into at EDTU, and to provide all those services to make that that structure around the student possible to have this more personalized learning pathway. Is there a question there? I think small statement. I think that covers it for your presentation there, Jill. Many thanks. Thanks so much. That's really really interesting contribution there. And let's go now to Andre on how study workshops enhance retention in law education from Fernunion Hagen.
Yeah, thank you very much, George, for the introduction and also for the opportunity to be here with you today and present the study workshops, the Bachelor of Laws, I have to add. And let me first try to share my screen so that everyone can see the slides. I hope they are now visible. Yes, I want to talk about the study workshops which we have implemented at the Faculty of Law in 2019. And unfortunately, I have to add that my colleague, Dr. Christina Galinzi, can't join us today. She's ill. So yeah, if you have questions to the smallest details of this program. I'm not the expert in all of it, so please use the opportunity to write an email to her. I will present the contact information at the end of the slides, and you will get the presentation after this meeting here so that you can consider if you want to get into touch with her or not. Yeah, I want to talk in the next couple of minutes about these workshops because it might be the case that it's also adaptable for other study programs, not only for Bachelor of Laws programs. And so I'm looking forward to hear your opinion, how the approach might be transferable to your contexts, to your universities. Maybe there are also campus universities here so that we can talk about this later in the discussion part. And yeah, first of all, I want to show you what the initial situation was, why we set up these workshops. So we have these Bachelor of Laws, and we have many new enrollments each semester there, 1,500 new students on average in the last 10 years. Yeah, we have many students with former university experiences who have studied law at campus universities. That's the most of them, but also studying other degrees and degree programs. So there are some students who have struggled at other universities and they want to restart at Fernuniversität. There is a second chance for them, and yeah, we want to support them best. So this is what we have to keep in mind. And also, as George said at the beginning of the meeting, these students have their family lives, they have their professional duties and so on. So it's tough for them to do this restart here. Yeah, we have this challenge that a significant number of students barely pass or even fail the first examinations in the first modules, which are civil law and foundation course. You can see it here. It's in the first semester, I've put the schedule for part-time studying here, but you can of course also studying full-time, but most of our students choose the part-time version. So what are the main challenges? Why do students fail? First of all, we encounter a lack of knowledge of how to self-organize and how to learn. So learning techniques are not so yeah, known by these students. Also, we have the challenge that they have incomplete understanding of foundational legal techniques. What does this mean? This means, for example, recognizing of legal arguments, how to structure a text. It's about reading skills, analyzing facts, and also about analytical thinking, which is quite crucial for studying law. And thirdly, we have the challenge that they are not knowing how to write a legal expert report, which is also quite essential for studying law and also for the professional life later on. This means that they are not able to structure the report or how to express an argument. And finally, in general, you can say academic enculturation is challenging due to the fact that we have these high student numbers and the students have these diverse backgrounds. So this is why we thought about how could we tackle these challenges. And we have set up 2019 the Endure workshops, and I'm going now to tell you what is the design and concept of these workshops. So first of all, the workshops have a specific target group. This is the students of second semester who have failed or nearly failed the first examinations. These students are invited by email or directly in meetings with the student counselors. They are invited to participate in these study workshops during the second semester. It's I have to emphasize it's recommended, highly recommended, but they are not compulsory, these workshops, so students don't have to take them. But we recommend them because they provide them the opportunity to catch up and refinish so that they are better prepared for the resit of the exams and at the end of the second semester. And it's an application process. Not everyone can participate because this workshop is run only by one academic assistant. This is my colleague, Christina Galinsky. And so we have to do this application process, and there's a limit. If a student has passed the first exam with more than 54% of the maximum score, he or she is not allowed to take part. But below, you have the possibility to take part. And yeah, we have seen a high number in recent years of participants. We have more than 1,000 participants now, on average 140 each semester. So you can, I think, imagine how much work my colleague has with these workshops. Yeah, and these workshops are addressing students with professional and family duties, as I said. And so very important is that this program reflects these conditions with yeah, combining asynchronous and synchronous learning. And this is based on our blended learning concept at Fernuniversität. And I want to show you first the asynchronous part of the program. So we have our learning management system, Moodle, and this is all implemented in a specific learning environment in Moodle, what I'm now talking about. In order to give the students participating the high flexibility they need, these general study skills, which you can see here, are addressed through a digital learning environment. This is Moodle. We have quizzes and assignments focusing on self-organization, psychosocial well-being, and media competencies. Media competencies in this context means how to use the library catalog, how to work together in virtual environments, and so on. Due to the fact that some of the participants lack such skills, some of them already have these skills, then they are not, they don't have to do all these learning activities. They can just skip them, and it's part of the communication between the instructor and the student, what kind of learning activities he or she should take in this learning environment. Alongside this general study related skills, academic orientation for legal studies is another core component of the asynchronous learning aspect. Students learn, for example, how to conduct literature research as part of academic orientation. They learn how to use specific data banks and how to conduct legal work, such as finding and applying the right paragraphs and writing legal briefs. And in total, you can say that these asynchronous learning activities foster the enculturation of the students into distance and open learning. This is one part of the study workshops, but we also have the synchronous formats. And there you have to distinguish between two formats, the crash courses and the case studies. On the one hand, the crash courses have a capacity of 20 up to 50 participants. In these crash courses, my colleague presents different legal issues and legal disputes pertaining to fields covered in the first semester modules. This is, to remind you, civil law and this foundation course. In this context, typical errors in legal texts are discussed and solutions are also sketched. In comparison, in the more intense case study meetings, it's more about the interaction between the students. They are organized as small group meetings with 4 up to 10 participants. And they cover how to write legal expert reports. Also, it's about discussing different aspects and different cases. For example, students are given a case which they have to prepare for the meeting, which entails reading the case and considering the solution. And during the meeting, the instructor moderates the discussion between the students. So the students are doing the discussion. They have to show that they have achieved an understanding of the text, and they have to show and discuss the arguments which are in these legal texts. This part helps to foster the communication competencies of the law students, because this is very important. So might already imagine for their later professional lives as lawyers and so on. So this is the synchronous part. And what are the students think about these formats? This is something we ask them in the evaluation. And here you can see some figures we have collected in the semesters up to the summer semester 2022. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get the recent figures because my colleague is ill at the moment, so she has more figures at hand. But if you look at these figures, and they haven't changed so much during the years, you see that students highly appreciate these study workshops. If you look at the enculturation, for example, you see that about 70% highly rates them positively. And also this part about these online research skills and using data banks is even more seen as a very positive aspect of the workshop. And also group work is emphasized here as something positive. And to add just 2 things here, one is very important. It's a fear-free atmosphere for the students. This is emphasized again and again in the feedbacks. This means that there are no marks. So students can discuss and show their challenges to the instructor without to fear that they might get a bad mark in the modules. And also they like this atmosphere, this possibility to discuss things with fellow students. Of course, there are also critical voices. For example, what we receive in the feedback is that students want to have more exercises in these live events, but this would mean to do even more live events, and this is something we can't offer because there's only one person in charge for this program, so there's a limit there. But we have tried to address these requests by putting more exercises in the asynchronous learning environment. And I think there's another problem which you, if you are working at a distance learning universities, have seen already yourself. The activity decreases over time for some of the participants, so they are not so engaged anymore if it comes to the 2nd or 3rd month. So in this case, it helps to address them individually, as Jill has already shown for the OU program, and ask them why their commitment is waning. So it's really important to be in contact with the persons, with the participants on an individual level. So this is the feedback, but the hard facts are how is the impact in terms of the examinations. And before I talk about this, I want to show you one slide in between. It's about the assignments, because law students have to do assignments in the modules as prerequisite for the exam attendance. And you can see here, in terms of the civil law module, we have 4 different assignments. And in terms of the foundation course, we have 2. And here you can see that the green bars are in 5 out of 6 cases better than the gray ones. So this means students who have attended these workshops are on average significantly performing better in these assignments than if they have not attended these workshops. And this is one positive impact, but the even better impact of the positive impact of the program are here on this slide. If we look at the final exam marks, you can see that in comparison to those who haven't attended the workshops, all the students on average pass the final exams after attending the workshops. And the difference is even higher here if you look at these civil law exams. Maybe just one hint, we have measured these at different points in time in order to rule out random fluctuations as a course. So this is the impact which we could see in the examination data. And maybe to wrap it up, you can say the participation rate is very high, although we have some problems with a few students which participation is decreasing over time. And many students take advantage of the program, resulting in better marks, as you can see here. And just to add some additional information, these positive effects, this impact you can see here, has led the Faculty of Law to extend the program. So now these workshops are not only for civil law and the foundation course, it's also for constitutional law and criminal law offered. And so we can see good results there too, but unfortunately I wasn't able to collect them for today. If you're interested in more information, please write an email to Christina. Here are the contact information. And for now, I'm very interested to hear your comments and your questions, and I'm very interested to hear if it might be transferable to your contexts and universities. Thank you.
Thanks so much, André. Floor is open for questions, or suggestions, or examples, similar examples. Is it also transferred now to other faculties? Are the other faculties also interested in such an approach? Is it transferable? Yeah.
At Fernuniversität, we have in the Faculty of Social Sciences now, not so similar, but we have an approach which could be described as a study workshop as well. But of course, there are other challenges, so it's not 100% this approach. Yes.
And is the result also communicated that you get better results participating in this? Is that also communicated to new students to the next one, so that they are more stimulated to join?
Yes, also we do this communication from the beginning. So new students get information. You don't have to fear that you might be not successful in the first examinations, because you will get the chance to resit the exams, and we offer this specific program. I think, which is important as well, we have many students with better marks who want to take this workshop, which for me is a hint that they believe that they can improve also. But yeah, we have this limitation because we don't have more than one colleague who can do this workshop, unfortunately.
Of course, yeah. Anyone more comments on this?
There's a comment by Dominic in the chat. Dominic says, do you face challenges with students not quite doing their research about law careers before committing to the qualification?
Yeah, I think this is about expectation management, right? Yeah, we do have these kind of students who are not so informed what kind of competencies are necessary for studying law. I think especially it's about this analytical thinking, which is not something everyone has in this advanced way, and is maybe something not everyone can achieve. So this is something we already have encountered, and therefore we have set up an online self-assessment for the Bachelor of Law, informing students about what is needed for this degree program, and also what it's to study this kind of subject. Yeah.
Thank you. I don't know how to put my hand up, by the way. I'm sorry. I'm terrible with Zoom. We use Teams all the time. So I'm like, I don't know how I put my hand up to say something. So but thank you for your response. I was going to say, because I work for the Open University, and I've particularly, we were business and law, but we've merged now, but with another department. But we used to get in the UK a lot of people saying they want to be a barrister, not quite realizing, one, how competitive that is, and two, it's not just getting your degree, you've got to do the bar after, and it's incredibly competitive if you want to work for a prestigious law firm. So sometimes they'd realize at like stage 3, maybe if they're going to get what we call a 2-2 or a third, maybe that's not feasible. But I was always quite surprised how many people limit themselves to that one career path, maybe because they just heard a barrister makes a lot of money, not quite realizing that law is there's lots of different careers, like paralegals, solicitor, whatever it may be. So we'd often have those conversations with them. But I was just curious, so it sounds like that maybe you have that as well in your university, where of course some people study because they want to earn more money and boost themselves in their career, but it is a long journey. It's not just getting the qualification, is it?
Yeah, it's a long journey, and maybe I have to add one information here. We have 2 degree programs at the Faculty of Law. We have this bachelor and then the Master of Law, and we have the Staatsexamen in Germany. And most of the German law students are studying Staatsexamen, which is seen as a full qualification, legal qualification. And the Bachelor of Law is open for more than being a lawyer and so on. So we have students who really know these differences and take the Bachelor of Law because they don't want to have this Staatsexamen. They don't want to do the whole journey. They want to just get basic competencies and then have a degree and work at wherever they want to work and get a job.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Dominic, for the question. Also, anyone else? I think it covers it for today. Then I want to thank Jill and Andre for your contributions today, and I would like to invite all present here also to join tomorrow when we have a contribution by Aras Bosgaard from Anadolu University on the many shades of flexibility increasing retention at Anadolu University, and from Liz Marr from Centre for Open Distance Education of the University of London on towards a student journey model for open and distance education. So most welcome to join us tomorrow also at also at 3 o'clock Central European time, and we hope to see you there. Thanks so much. Have a good day. Bye.